Hi, hey, hello everyone. So, this video is just kind of going to be a little bit rambly, I suppose. It's just something I feel like talking about because I am getting more into BookTube, I'm getting more into AuthorTube. So, I thought I'd talk a little bit about at least how I feel, my interpretations, my, thoughts, experience, whatever. So it's me personally and my thoughts on seeing artistic things such as art itself, writing, music, movies through the eyes of a writer. So first of all, before I get into anything, there's somebody I want you to check out. He's Steve from the Lawn Gnome. Fantastic YouTuber. He's another Friday Fiver, basically. That's what we call our little group, at least some of us. Um, you know, he's great with movie reviews and talking about music on the Friday Five, and he does Funko Pop updates and stuff. And I mean, who doesn't want to watch something about Funko Pop? Those things are just so fun. But I love how he does his videos. He's great to listen to. He's at 1,600 subs, I think, right now, and he's trying to get to 2,000. And once he reaches that goal, he plans to do a music shelf tour, I believe. And I mean, come on, not enough people are doing that. So I will link the channel down below, and you definitely should check it out because he's got a variety of things that you'll definitely want to check out. And there's possibility of me speaking of other YouTubers in this video. I don't know just yet, but that one you definitely need to check out because he needs to get to 2,000. So, as I was saying, one thing I don't think people talk too much about is how they view stuff as writers. I mean, there's always the questions of where does your inspiration come from? Do you listen to music while you write? Which are valid questions and everything, and they're fun questions to answer and everything. You know, talking about your experience, talking about your playlist. What would your character listen to? What's their favorite band? Do they like rock? Do they like heavy metal? You know, I mean, our characters are our creations. They're, at many times, extensions of ourselves. So, it's no wonder that people wonder those kind of things. And I would just like to kind of talk about, stuff like that, and maybe have you guys talk to me or make videos or whatever on the way you see things. So, a lot of times people will ask, when did you know you wanted to be a writer? Or how long have you been writing? And probably at least by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I started to realize that I really liked books and I wanted to write books. But looking at how I view things now, I'm starting to realize that I'm getting more into the story of things. I'm getting more into wanting to know the story behind the story, the history, the process of creation, all that other stuff. And the more I do that, the more I realize that there were times when I was younger that I kind of did the same thing. So, I've never been a huge movie person. There's a ton of movies I love and everything, but I've always kind of been more of a TV sitcom, that kind of person, or eventually, or sometimes I'd get into more dramatic things, but mostly comedy. I need to take a drink of my coffee here, sorry. There we go. A little bit better now. But anyways, I think it's because I'm pushing myself into my writing more. Not pushing myself where I'm forcing myself, where I'm not going to enjoy writing. It's just that, I'm pushing myself to make goals and get stuff done. I'm pushing myself to get what's up here and down here. You can't see it, but I'm recording on my computer, okay? But you probably can tell by the quality. So, that being said, because I am pushing myself, I am obviously writing more. I'm thinking about things more. I'm thinking about the tense I'm going to use, my character development, plot, the things that writers think about. But the thing is, because of that, I am looking at other forms of writing in a different way now. Before, even though I loved writing and stuff from the time I was a kid, I think now that I'm older and I'm experiencing more things, I just can't look at things just in a simple way anymore. I think because I'm getting more into writing, I'm getting more into different kind of books and everything as I get older. I'm wanting to watch more movies and more TVs, and not to be lazy or just sit around and watch television, but to analyze the story that's within them. I can't really watch my favorite cartoons anymore. Not even something as simple as Family Guy and everything, which those shows sometimes do actually have things and issues they're trying to bring up through comedy and animation and stuff. But Family Guy came out around, 99? Because one of the episodes in the first season was about Y2K and all that and everything. So, the show's been on for a while now. But when it came on, I was a kid, and to me it was just more grown-up comedy. I got away with watching because I was a little bit more mature and everything and stuff like that. And to be honest, the first seasons were pretty damn mild. It's mild compared to something like South Park or something, but still, they were a lot more mild when they first came out. And the thing is, now I'm starting to analyze, the meaning behind these episodes, the characters, and how they've changed from the first season to they're on season 14 or something now. I don't know. The show got canceled for a while. That's why they don't have like 18 or 19 seasons like they should. But yeah, I'm just really noticing the parody within the comedy and all that, and the humor and the real life situations, much like with South Park or even Bob's Burgers or the old Simpsons episodes. As a writer, I'm seeing writing and stuff that most people really don't take the time to look at. I'm realizing that there are people who sat down and wrote these scripts. They had to obviously do research and, talk to people and stuff like that. And, when you're watching something, realize that before it was on the screen, somebody had a piece of paper, a notebook, a computer, whatever, and they were writing down ideas. They were researching. This was a written word before it was a visual thing. And now I'm wanting to see more shows and more movies and everything because the story looks intriguing. It looks, just like Wow, that could be an interesting concept. And I'm not one of those people that um don't want to see a movie or read a book or whatever because it sounds the same as something else. Give it an example. Um, The Hunger Games. I seen the first movie and I didn't really think about it too much after that. I seen it like when it came out, like I don't know, on DVD or something, and I hadn't read the book yet. Then a few years later, I found the book at a thrift store, and I still didn't read it right away. And then when I read it, I fell in love with it. I do like the other two books, but that one is like my favorite book. And I mean, the movies are good and everything, and you know, I'm also really analyzing the differences between book and movie and stuff I thought, you know, worked well, stuff I thought was kind of ridiculous. So I'm forming more opinion on different types of storytelling and such. But moving on, while researching books like that, I also came across an older book called Battle Royale, which, like, Family Guy came out around 99 or 2000. So that one was out years ago with a movie made in Japan, and they have English dub and everything. And, you know, I like both those stories for different reasons. They're two different stories. And now they have something called the Belko Experiment coming, or that came out. I haven't seen that one yet. If you have, let me know. Is it any good? That one kind of, I mean, I'll admit a little bit, it kind of ticked me off a little bit, just because I kept hearing, because of the Hunger Games and everything, and the trilogy, that there could not be a American Battle Royale remake. God only knows if that would have been good or not. It would have been interesting to see in, you know, an American setting. But the thing is, they kept saying that people wouldn't watch it because of the HD trilogy and everything. And then the Belko Experiment, I see it on, you know, TV or my computer, and it just seems like a grown-up battle royale, and I'm like, you're making this, but you couldn't make that other one. It's basically it almost sounds like the same thing, only with grown-ups, like with adults, you know. But I don't know. I'm just starting to notice stuff like that. I'm starting to notice good plot, same plot, you know, similarities but differences, like between those three things that I just mentioned. Obviously, the main thing would be a bunch of people being made to fight to the death, but told in different points of view. One is said in, I guess, a corporate office kind of thing. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie. One is set in Japan, and it's more about misbehaving youth and trying to control uh, kids, and, you know, their twisted way of, you know, not making kids into criminals or whatever because their economy is bad now, and such. Somebody probably can explain it a lot better to me. And the concept that these kids are classmates versus the Hunger Games, where it is a twisted form of punishing parents for rebelling years ago and treating this twisted thing as a sporting event. Similar plots, but told in different ways. And there's just so many ways we can tell stories. Like I said, I love TV shows, sitcoms and stuff. Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, The Cleveland Show, American Dad, pretty much the three ones that Seth MacFarlane has created. The Simpsons, before all of them. They all have the same elements. They usually have a humorous dad, one intelligent child, one not so intelligent one, or one that is but doesn't show it. Usually a mom that keeps everything together, but that's starting to vary a little bit. But they all have at least 3 children. Actually, most of them all have 3 children. Simpsons do, Bob's Burgers does, Family Guy does. Actually, I think the only 2 that I can think of off the top of my head is American Dad and The Cleveland Show that only have 2 kids. Well, no, actually I'm wrong. The Cleveland Show has 3 kids because of Cleveland Jr. But still. Okay, so American Dad is pretty much the only one. But none of them have, like, 1 kid. Okay? And they're always working normal jobs for the most part. I still can't, till this day, figure out the power plant with Homer Simpson and stuff. And how does somebody like that even get into a power plant? But it's a cartoon, right? So, and then they have these wacky adventures and stuff. They can somehow afford to go overseas. But you see, there's like similarities and stuff like that. So, you know, it's telling stories in different ways. I haven't read a whole lot of them, but now we are seeing fairy tale retellings become very popular. Books such as the Lunar Chronicles and, I mean, stuff like Once Upon a Time and Shrek, Hoodwink, you know, if you want to go on something a little bit more funny. So, you know, there's obviously many different ways to tell things. There's many different ways to write about wizards and unicorns and all that other stuff. I mean, the community of writing, you know, if everyone's not at each other and criticizing, I mean, obviously, like music, movies, TV, whatever, obviously there are bad books and stuff that is just poorly written and stuff that is mainly just there to make money. But for the most part, you know, the writing community really is a community, you know. People bounce ideas off of each other. They inspire each other. You know, they find ways to take things that people have created and add on to them to, you know, spin a new tale about them, to add a new perspective. And I think that's really what the writing community should be about. It should be a unified thing. I'm not saying like plagiarize off people, but, you know, like support people's different ideas and everything. Support the choice, the freedom to look at something in a different way. I mean, we can bash Twilight all we want, and I'm not the biggest Twilight fan. I've read the first book, and I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was all that great, but it was like it could have been better, and you can see the potential for it to be good. It just doesn't seem like she tried all that much. I mean, people are always stuck on the sparkly vampire thing, which, okay, yeah, vampires shouldn't sparkle. But the thing is, Stephenie Meyer was not the first person to give vampires feelings, to give them a conscience, to make them think, to make them not want to hurt people. or to make them fall in love. You know, other people have done that. I mean, Anne Rice gives her vampires personality. Sometimes you know, like I've read 2.5 of the Vampire Chronicles. I have to go back and finish Queen of the Damned because that one I was really liking. But I'll have to start over again because it's been a few years since I actually read the half of it. But much like Harry Potter with the wizard thing, with somebody like Anne Rice, you almost forget sometimes that you're always reading from the perspective of a vampire because you're just, you know, immersed in their personality of who they are as a person versus of what they are, what they have become. She's very good at that. She's very good at details and just... I think one time she talked about writing... I don't know who you are. I don't know anybody in Florida. Oh my god, I'm sorry. So anyways, I believe one time she mentioned something about her characters actually kind of being genderless, which I can see. And it's not forcing any kind of certain stereotypes or gender bending or gender conformity or anything in her books. And honestly, however you choose to live and identify and everything, to me, is your business. But the thing is, the way she writes it, it's like you really don't care about them being a male vampire, or a female vampire, or sometimes even a vampire at all. You just care about these characters and what they do, the way their words flow, just them. And it was kind of the same thing with Harry Potter and everything. You just loved to hear the stories about the school, these teachers, these young wizards and everything, and the stuff they deal with growing up and everything. You know, there's just so many ways to tell a story, to make a character. It doesn't always have to be just this and that. They don't have to be just wizards, just vampires. It doesn't have to be just a dystopia or just a fantasy. There's just so many things you can do, and as I write more, I realize this more. I get more into these stories and wanting to know the history behind them, and why she wrote Harry Potter and the symbolisms of everything in there, his life, Quidditch, the Mirror of Erised, the Dementors, the thing with Battle Royale and, Japanese government and how kids versus, in America are here versus, how culture for them is in Japan and Asian countries and such. The Roman-esque, inspiration for the Hunger Games and everything, and why Divergent came about and everything. I haven't finished that book and everything, but I want to know what made the author want to basically segregate people based upon characteristics, especially when going back to the actual idea of separation or segregation and everything, and having one of the most famous figures, in the civil rights movement talk about people being judged on content of character and everything, and then you have this person who basically is separating people on that content and everything. And, just wondering what made her think that. Going back to Cinder, culture is basically mixed in that book. Seemingly, especially like European and Asian and everything. And you really don't hear a lot of racial discrimination. I don't remember reading any of that in the book at all. However, there is discrimination against cyborgs and everything. And was Marissa Meyer, when she was writing this, thinking about future discrimination? Was she thinking, there's going to come a time when, or hopefully there will come a time, when things will be a lot better with race, religion, sexuality, and everything, and people will be more mixed and mingle more. Obviously, we're doing that now, but people will be much more tolerant, and things will just be more accepted and everything. And I hate to say it, and it's a horrible thing, but are people going to find something else to discriminate against? Once interracial couples and, gay marriage and all that other stuff, becomes more acceptable and people start to get over it and get over their bigotry and everything, will we find something else equally as stupid and ridiculous to dislike people for? Because human beings are just flawed that way and everything. And I may be thinking too deep into a book like Cinder, but you kind of have to wonder that kind of thing. I just think about these things. I think, what were they thinking when they wrote this? What kind of history were they researching? And stuff like that. When I was younger, I was very much into lyrics. Not really as much as I am now, but for a young kid listening to pop music, I was a little different in everything. I, of course, loved the music. I loved the beats and everything and the fun songs, but I couldn't get past not listening to lyrics and everything, not paying attention to them. I analyzed lyrics and everything at 10 years old when I was listening to the Spice Girls. I wanted to know who wrote these songs and the words to them and the meaning of the songs and stuff like that. I loved tearjerker songs and, the songs that made you feel all the feels and everything. When I was younger and everything, I don't know why, I've always liked cry-worthy songs and everything, or emotional ones, just because they have so much of a story to tell and everything. Sad to say, heartbreak does. Or sometimes love and inspiration and stuff. But looking back now, I find it kind of weird that I was so into the words of songs when most kids are just liking them because they're popular and everything. So it's like, now that I'm becoming more of a writer, I am seeing the story in everything, the story behind the story, the history, everything. When I look at visual art, I want to know what was going through their head when they drew that, when they painted that, when they wrote that song. Why did they choose to sing it that way? There are a lot of songs that aren't soft, that are actually more close to metal, but they almost make me cry, because you can hear the emotion in that. You can hear, especially when, they've written song and everything, and sometimes it gets hard and angry and everything, and I'm like, yes, they're bringing the story to life with their voice and everything, and I want to know more about this. I want to know who this was written for. I, want to know if it's connecting the way that I'm connected. Did they write it, and am I connecting to it the way it was written? Either way, But still, the thing is, I often wonder if other writers think about the same things that I do. Do they wonder these kind of things? So like I said, the video is a little bit rambly, but yeah, I noticed that I'm just noticing things more. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Tell me your thoughts. Bye bye.